Hi, John, and thanks for having me on the program with you again this year. It's always an honor to work with you. We've been friends a long time. I take it as a real honor to be on this program with you because, in my life and what I do, being one of the leading success coaches on the planet, is I've been so fortunate to work with amazing people like yourself and get to meet presidents of the United States, prime ministers of Australia and New Zealand, movie stars, rock stars, business leaders, literally people from all walks of life. I've been so fortunate. And the reason I find that to be such an amazing thing is not because the people are famous, is because my passion for life, something I've always been passionate about, is to study successful people and to study unsuccessful people. Because the difference between those two people, well, obviously there's a big difference in the results, but there's also a difference in the way that they operate. And when you change what you're putting in, well, obviously you're going to change the results that you're getting out. And that's why I've been so passionate about it because, well, first, I wanted the results for my own life. I wanted to be wealthy, and I wanted to be fit, and I wanted to have a great relationship, and all the rest of those things. And the people around me in my present environment back in those days, when I was first getting going in life, well, they didn't have a lot of those things. So, my parents weren't very wealthy. My mom was married 4 times. My father was married multiple times. So that wasn't a great example for me, and by no means am I talking bad about those people. I love my parents, and they weren't great examples for what I wanted to achieve in life. So I went out there, started to study it. And what you've asked me to talk about in tonight's program is how do you maintain peace when you're surrounded by conflict? And how do you maintain positivity when you're surrounded by negativity? And the reason that these things are so valuable, and I know why you're asking me to bring this up tonight and talk about it, is because this is so critically important for people to achieve everything they want in life, is this subject that you're asking me to talk about tonight. Because I will tell you that the key distinction, the difference between these two groups. Now, why is it so valuable to study both of them, successful people and unsuccessful people? Well, the truth is because when you see those differences, when you want to change groups, when you want to go from what the average people get or don't get in life to produce the results that those elite people, that minority of people that produces the really great results, the wealth, the health, the happiness, all those things, you'll see that there's 2 different programs, 2 different systems of operating going on. And the number one distinction, the number one difference between successful people and the masses, the majority of people, are that successful people, what we've done is we've found a way to manage how we think and feel differently than average people do. And why is that so critically important? Well, the truth is that we all go through the same stuff. Everybody has stress in their life. Everybody has disappointment. Everybody has things that don't work out. A few years ago, we had a thing called the global financial crisis. It meant it was global, right? Everybody had to deal with it. Matter of fact, it was so, cool and hip that we had to give it an acronym, the GFC. And people freaked out. The masses freaked out. People lost their businesses. They lost their homes. They lost money that they had. All kinds of things happened. Yet, and that's what the media reported, people freaked out over the GFC. Well, let's be clear about something for a moment. More people have died from KFC than GFC. But I don't see people freaking out when they walk by the Colonel's place, right? But the thing is, the media focused on what happened to people and how they lost stuff and how they went out of business and how they got foreclosed on. Yet what they didn't report on is that a lot of people, there is that group of people who still succeeded even during the global financial crisis. They still grew their businesses. But see, that's because we were able to manage how we think and feel differently during those times than the average people do, because when you think and feel differently, you're going to be able to respond differently. And respond means to act. When you act differently, you're going to produce a different result, right? That's easy to figure out. So how is it that we can maintain peace when surrounded by conflict? How is it we can maintain positivity when surrounded by negativity? Well, in order to do that, the first thing we have to do is be strong. You have to have strength, because if you don't have strength, you will wind up buying into the hallucination that it's the outside environment that's dictating how you think and feel, and that's when you become a victim. So we have to stay strong. And the way to get strong is that you have to exercise. We all know that, right? So just like with your body, if you want your body to stay strong, you have to exercise it. Well, there's 4 main muscle groups that we have to work on in order to keep strength so that we can stay peaceful, we can stay positive, even when there's conflict and negativity all around us. Those 4 main muscle groups are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And all of them are just as important as each and every one of them, because if you don't do one of them, well, the weak link of the chain gives up the strength of the whole chain. So we have to work on those things every day to maintain our strength. Think about this. When everything's going great, it's easy to be positive. It's easy to be peaceful. Well, that's not a strategy, right? It's when things are challenging. See, and all successful people, we're willing to do just a little bit more than average people are willing to do, but that produces results that average people never get. Just that little bit more. So there's that little bit, is being able to be strong even during conflict, even when things are going awry or not the way we want them to be, is to stay strong. And we have to exercise those 4 main muscle groups. So let's go through this really quickly so that you literally have some strategies that you can put into play to stay strong, to stay peaceful, to stay positive, to produce mind-blowing results in your life. And I do mean wealth, health, happiness, relationships, all those things. So the first muscle group is physical, because this is what we walk around in. When you feel good physically, it's easy to stay peaceful. It's easy to stay positive. So what's the exercises? Well, move. Hit the gym, walk, dance, swim, run. We know that, right? Get out there and do something. And by the way, motion creates emotion, right? When you get yourself out there and you move in a certain way, you instantly feel better. Emotionally, it's powerful. This also includes eating regime and water intake, because garbage in, garbage out. If you keep putting your garbage in your body, of course you're not going to get great performance out. So we know that, right? What's the next muscle group? Mental. Your mind. It's powerful, right? And the more we work on our mind, the easier it is to stay on track, in tune. So what are the exercises for that? Well, read. Should be reading every day. If you're in business, you should be reading books about business and life and personal development. And by the way, personal development isn't motivation. Personal development means that you're developing yourself into being a better person, a stronger person, a smarter person, developed in all areas. Because when you are, it's easier to be more and more successful, because that's just who you are at that level. Makes sense, right? So what's the exercise for that? Well, read, go to workshops, do webinars. In your car, if you're driving to work, or you're on the train or the bus or whatever that is, even if you're walking to work every day, instead of listening to the news, which by the way is just pollution. Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich in 1937, he said you have to be the guardian at the gate of your mind to decipher what you allow in or not. Because if you allow those garbage, disempowering negative thoughts into your mind, it will create havoc and chaos to your life. So we have to decipher what we allow in or not. Well, listening to the news, it's not real. It's an edited interpretation of what's happening out there, and it's been sensationalized for drama, because that's entertainment, right? So when you hear there's 7% unemployment, well, that means that 93% of the people are working. Now, why don't they tell me that? I'll feel way better to know that 93% of the people working. And by the way, a lot of that 7% that's not working, a lot of them don't even want to work. But the way it's presented to us, it makes us feel bad, or like the world's, in trouble. Focus on what you want, focus on what's great, and it will expand. So work on our minds every day. So instead of listening to garbage on the way to work every day, listen to personal development. Put on an audio program, right? Next is emotional. It's a powerful muscle. Why? We're emotional creatures. We're not rational creatures. If we were rational, nobody would be in prison. We're emotional creatures. Everything we do in life is to either gain a feeling or to avoid a different feeling, right? So we're emotional. So what's the muscles for that? What's the exercises to build those emotional muscles? Well, number one is hang out with positive, happy, successful people instead of pissed off, angry, negative people. That's easy, right? Also is be kind to yourself. Quit beating yourself up for everything you haven't done. Instead of acknowledge yourself for everything you're doing approximately right. Reframe. Look at the other side of the coin. That's another strategy. Start asking, what's great about this? How can I look at this in an empowering way? Because even during the GFC, as we talked about earlier, is one of the things I did for myself, and I know some of the great business people that I'm friends with, what we did is we got together, we started asking, what's great about the GFC? And as I said earlier, well, guess what? It's forcing us to do better business. It's forcing us to learn how to do better marketing. It's forcing us how to train our staffs better and differently, how to work on ourselves. See, if you take that same event that's happening, it can get you to make you better by asking what's great about this or how can I use this to make me better, and those become strategy questions. And the last muscle that we're talking about is spiritual. Now, spiritual isn't religion. That's not what we're talking about. Spiritual is about self-love. Because every challenge that we face in this lifetime is a self-love issue. Because when you really go to love yourself more in life, when you really truly love yourself more, you won't allow yourself to stay poor. You won't allow yourself to stay depressed. You won't allow yourself to smoke cigarettes, because a person who loves himself doesn't do that. I mean, even smokers won't stick a cigarette in their newborn baby's face. Why? Because they love their baby. Yeah, they'll do it to themselves. So, what's the muscle for self-love? Well, again, is be kind to yourself. Reward yourself for everything you're doing approximately right. And by the way, by working on those other three muscle groups, physical, mental, and emotional, you are doing great things for yourself, right? That's self-love. And you can do all these things at the same time. By the way, you could be exercising, listening to an MP3 player that's teaching you personal development. So you're working on your body, you're learning things in your mind, you're doing something good for yourself, so that's emotional, and all of that is self-love. Do these things every day, build those what I call your success muscles, and man, when things are turbulent around you, it's easy to stay peaceful. Why? You're strong. Makes sense, right? So until I talk with you again, have a most outstanding day.